My friends think you're a downgrade from my ex. It's better if you stay home. Isla Corvan adjusts her earrings in the hallway mirror, her voice carrying that particular tone she uses when discussing inconvenient truths. She's wearing the black dress I bought her for our anniversary, the one that cost me 3 consulting gigs to afford. The irony isn't lost on me. I nod from the kitchen doorway, coffee mug in hand. Sure thing. Have fun at the wedding. She doesn't look at me when she speaks, just keeps fiddling with those diamond studs, the ones her mother gave her naturally. Everything valuable in Isla's life comes from somewhere else, someone else. It's not personal, Finn. It's just complicated social dynamics. You understand. I understand plenty. I understand that 3 years ago, when we met at that charity auction, I was good enough to date. Good enough to move in with. Good enough to propose to when her lease expired and she needed somewhere to go. But apparently, I'm not good enough to be seen with her college friends at their fancy weddings. Complicated, I repeat, tasting the word. It sits bitter on my tongue. The Uber notification pings on her phone. She grabs her clutch, the designer one I gave her for Christmas, and heads for the door. No kiss goodbye. No see you later. Just the click of heels on hardwood and the soft thud of the door closing. I watch through the window as she slides into the back seat of a black sedan. The driver pulls away, tail lights disappearing around the corner of Maple Street. Our street. The one where I bought this house with money I earned fixing other people's business problems. The silence that follows feels different somehow. Heavier. Like the moment before a storm when the air pressure drops and everything goes still. I set down my coffee and walk to our bedroom. Her bedroom, apparently. The closet door stands open, revealing rows of clothes I've helped pay for. Dresses for events I'm not invited to. Shoes for places I'm not welcome. A whole wardrobe for a life that doesn't include me. The first box comes from the garage. Cardboard, medium-sized, sturdy enough for books or dishes. I start with her jewelry box, the ornate wooden thing her grandmother left her. Each piece goes into individual pouches, the pearl necklace, the tennis bracelet, the watch collection she never wears but insists on keeping. My grandmother's engagement ring comes off her nightstand. The diamond catches the afternoon light streaming through the window. 3 carats, Clarity Grade VS1, set in platinum. It belonged to my father's mother, passed down through 3 generations of Harlow men who actually married the women they gave it to. The ring goes back into its original box, then into the safe behind my desk, where it should have stayed. The clothes come next, organized by season, just like she prefers. Spring dresses in one box, summer tops in another. Her winter coats fill a 3rd container entirely. Everything folded with the same care she uses when packing for business trips. 3 years of shared space, reduced to 14 boxes by the time the sun starts setting. Her toiletries barely fill a single bag. Amazing how little someone leaves behind when they've never really moved in. The shared laptop sits open on the kitchen counter, still logged into her email. A message thread catches my eye. Recent conversation with her brother Damon. The subject line reads, Timeline Update. I shouldn't read it. Privacy, boundaries, all that relationship advice nonsense. But then again, she just told me I'm too much of a downgrade to attend public functions with her. Privacy seems like a luxury I can no longer afford. The first message makes my stomach clench. D. The wedding is perfect timing. Finn will be isolated from my social circle before the ceremony. Everything is proceeding as planned. The Montreal apartment lease is active, utilities connected. We just need to maintain the timeline until the estate situation resolves. Montreal apartment? What estate situation? I scroll down. More messages, going back months. Isla, Damon here. The client extraction is ahead of schedule. Finn's database downloaded completely. My firm is ready to onboard his accounts the moment you give the signal. How's the crypto situation progressing? D. My hands start shaking. Client extraction. Crypto situation. These aren't casual sibling conversations. This is business correspondence, criminal business correspondence. I open a new browser tab and navigate to my brokerage account. The balance shows $47,000. Last month it was $387,000. The difference, $340,000, has vanished into the digital ether. Transaction history reveals a series of transfers to cryptocurrency exchanges, all authorized with my login credentials, all executed during my work hours when I'm focused on client calls and project deadlines. The password manager shows Isla's crypto wallet information conveniently saved in the browser we share. Her holdings, exactly $340,000 worth of Bitcoin, purchased with transfers from my account. I lean back in my chair, staring at the screen. The woman I plan to marry has systematically robbed me while planning her escape to a secret apartment in Montreal. The brother I've shared holiday dinners with for 3 years has stolen my client base. The family I thought I was joining has been dismantling my life piece by piece. My phone buzzes. Text message from an unknown number. Mr. Harlow, this is Janet from Premier Wedding Coordination. We need to confirm final headcount for Saturday's ceremony. Please respond by 6 p.m. today. I check the time. 5:43 p.m. Janet, this is Finn Harlow. Please cancel all services for Saturday's wedding. The engagement has been terminated. Her response comes within minutes. Mr. Harlow, I understand this is stressful, but the deposits are non-refundable per our contract. Are you certain about this decision? Completely certain. Send final invoices to this number. I spend the next 2 hours making similar calls. Caterer, cancelled. Florist, cancelled. Photographer, cancelled. The honeymoon suite in Santorini releases without penalty. Apparently, they have a compassionate cancellation policy for broken engagements. Each call takes about 90 seconds. 37 vendors total. By the time I finish, my credit card company has triggered fraud alerts from the unusual activity volume. The laptop pings with a new email notification. Another message from Damon to Isla. The inheritance timeline is critical. Finn's father's condition is deteriorating faster than expected. You need to be legally married before he passes, or the spousal claims won't apply. The will contains no provisions for wives who don't exist yet. How soon can you move up the wedding date? D. My father. They're planning to manipulate my father's estate. The man who taught me to work with my hands, who built his construction business from nothing, who's been battling cancer for 8 months while I've been planning a wedding to a woman who sees his impending passing as a business opportunity. I scroll through more emails, finding a forwarded document from Isla's therapist. Session notes. Detailed observations about my childhood, the abuse I survived, the trust issues I've worked years to overcome. Information I shared with Isla during vulnerable moments, now cataloged and analyzed like psychological ammunition. One note stands out. Patient reports fiancé's abandonment trauma makes him highly susceptible to isolation tactics. Recommend leveraging social exclusion to maintain control during financial extraction phase. They've weaponized my past, turned my healing into their strategy. The final email thread contains client information, names, contact details, project specifications, billing rates, my entire business database, exported to Isla's cloud storage 3 weeks ago. Damon's competing firm sent announcements last week about new client acquisitions. Companies I've worked with for years, relationships I've built through competence and trust. Everything I've built, they've taken. Everything I've shared, they've used against me. My phone rings at 9:47 p.m. Isla Corvan, Isla's mother. I let it ring twice before answering. What have you done? Her voice carries that particular brand of upper-class hysteria, all sharp consonants and wounded dignity. Isla is beside herself. You've destroyed everything. Hello, Helena. Lovely evening, isn't it? Don't you dare take that tone with me, young man. Isla called me in tears. The wedding is canceled. The vendors are all terminated. What kind of childish tantrum is this? I walk to the window, looking out at the boxes stacked on my front porch. 14 containers holding the belongings of a woman who never belonged here. Your daughter stole $340,000 from my brokerage account, Helena. She's been planning to contest my father's will through spousal inheritance claims. She sold my client database to her brother and has been using information from therapy sessions to psychologically manipulate me. The boxes containing her belongings are on the front porch. She can collect them at her convenience. Silence. Complete, profound silence. That's impossible. Isla would never. The crypto wallet is in her name. The Montreal apartment lease is in her maiden name. The client data theft is documented in email threads between her and Damon. Would you like me to forward the evidence? The line goes quiet. Then the dial tone. I set the phone on the counter and pour myself 3 fingers of whiskey. The good stuff, the bottle I was saving for the wedding reception, seems like an appropriate time to open it. Tomorrow, I'll start the legal process of asset recovery. I'll contact my clients and explain the situation. I'll visit my father and tell him about the inheritance scheme. Watch his face when he learns how his future daughter-in-law planned to profit from his passing. But tonight, I sit in my kitchen, surrounded by the evidence of a betrayal so thorough it feels almost artistic in its cruelty. 3 years of my life, carefully dissected and distributed among people who saw me as nothing more than a resource to be extracted. Isla was right about one thing. Her friends probably do think I'm a downgrade, but they don't know what I know now. They don't understand what happens when someone underestimates the quiet guy who fixes problems for a living. I raise my glass to the empty house. Here's to upgrades. The morning brings clarity and coffee, in that order. I wake up at 5:30 a.m., same as always, but the house feels different without Isla's presence. Lighter somehow. Like a weight I didn't realize I was carrying has been lifted. The boxes remain on the front porch, untouched. Either she hasn't come for them yet, or she's hoping I'll cave and bring them back inside. She doesn't know me as well as she thinks. I make breakfast, eggs, toast, bacon, and eat it at the kitchen table while scrolling through the laptop. The email threads between Isla and Damon go back 18 months, starting just after our engagement party. The timeline is instructive. Month 1. Finn proposed. The ring is worth at least $30,000. This could work. Month 3. His client list is extensive. Mid-market consulting pays better than I expected. Month 6. The therapy sessions are providing excellent insight into his psychological patterns. Abandonment issues run deep. Month 12. Father's cancer diagnosis creates opportunity. Need to research inheritance law. Month 15. Montreal apartment secured. Crypto transfers initiated. Timeline acceleration required. Month 18. Wedding planning provides perfect cover for final extraction phase. 18 months of systematic planning. They've been harvesting my life like farmers working a field, patient and methodical, waiting for the right moment to bring in the crop. My phone buzzes with a text from my business partner, Marcus. 3 clients called this morning asking about service transitions. What's going on? I dial his number. Marcus picks up on the first ring. Finn, what the hell is happening? Peterson Industries wants to terminate our contract. They said Damon Vossell's firm offered them a better rate structure. How much better? 30% below our pricing, which is impossible unless they're operating at a loss, or they stole our project specifications. They stole our specifications, Marcus, along with our client database, billing structures, and competitive analysis. Isla downloaded everything 3 weeks ago. Silence on the other end. Then, Jesus Christ, Finn, your fiancé? Ex-fiancée as of yesterday. I need you to contact our lawyer immediately. Client theft, corporate espionage, breach of fiduciary duty. We're going to bury Damon Vossell's firm so deep they'll need archaeological equipment to find it. What about Isla? I look out the window at her boxes, still sitting on the porch like abandoned luggage. Isla is about to learn the difference between a downgrade and an upgrade. After hanging up with Marcus, I drive to the bank. The branch manager, Jennifer Walsh, has handled my accounts for 5 years. She knows my business, my patterns, my legitimate financial activities. Finn, good morning. What can I help you with today? I need to report unauthorized transfers from my brokerage account. Approximately $340,000 converted to cryptocurrency without my knowledge or consent. Her expression shifts from friendly to professional. That's a serious matter. Do you have documentation? I slide a folder across her desk. Transaction records, email correspondence between the perpetrators, and evidence of the cryptocurrency wallet they used to launder the funds. She reviews the documents, her frown deepening with each page. This appears to be a coordinated effort between multiple parties. Have you contacted law enforcement? Not yet. I wanted to secure the financial evidence first. Smart thinking. I'll initiate fraud protection protocols immediately and contact our investigation team. The cryptocurrency angle complicates recovery, but it's not impossible. Leaving the bank, I drive across town to Damon's office building. Vossel Consulting occupies the 15th floor of a glass tower downtown. All chrome fixtures and expensive furniture designed to impress clients who don't know any better. The receptionist, a young woman with perfect teeth and practiced enthusiasm, greets me with professional warmth. Good morning, how can I help you? I'm here to see Damon Vossel, Finn Harlow from Harlow Marcus Consulting. Do you have an appointment? Tell him it's about the Peterson Industries contract. He'll want to see me. 5 minutes later, Damon emerges from his office. He's wearing a suit that costs more than most people's monthly rent, his smile wide and confident. The smile of someone who thinks he's won. Finn, what a pleasant surprise. Come in, come in. His office overlooks the city, windows stretching from floor to ceiling. Awards and certifications cover one wall. Photos of him with local politicians and business leaders fill another. Everything calculated to project success and influence. Congratulations on the Peterson contract, I say, settling into the chair across from his desk. 30% below market rate. That's impressive. His smile flickers slightly. Competition keeps everyone sharp. You understand. I understand perfectly. I also understand that you had access to our project specifications, client communication patterns, and pricing structures before submitting your proposal. The smile disappears entirely. That's a serious accusation, Finn. It's not an accusation. It's a statement of fact, supported by email evidence and digital forensics. I place a printed copy of his correspondence with Isla on his desk. He doesn't look at it, but his face goes pale. I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding was thinking I wouldn't notice. Your sister stole my client database, my business strategies, and $340,000 from my personal accounts. You used that information to undercut my contracts and poach my clients. Damon leans back in his chair, the confident businessman facade cracking like cheap paint. Prove it. Already done. The bank has initiated fraud investigation protocols. My lawyer is preparing corporate espionage charges. Your sister's email threads document the entire conspiracy. I stand up, straightening my jacket. You called me a downgrade, Damon. But here's the thing about downgrades. They make you underestimate what someone is capable of. That's going to cost you everything. Walking out of his office, I feel lighter with each step. The receptionist's smile seems less bright now, more nervous. Word travels fast in professional circles, especially when it involves scandal. My next stop is the law firm where Isla works. Brennan, Chase & Associates occupies 3 floors of a renovated historic building, all exposed brick and hardwood floors designed to suggest both tradition and innovation. I ask for Isla at the front desk. The receptionist, an older woman with kind eyes, checks her schedule. Ms. Corvan is in depositions all morning. Can I take a message? Please tell her that Finn stopped by to discuss the Montreal apartment lease and the cryptocurrency transfers. She'll understand. The woman's fingers pause over her keyboard. Montreal apartment? She'll know what it means. I leave my business card and walk out, knowing that message will reach Isla within minutes. In a law firm, information like that spreads through the building like wildfire. The drive home takes me past the coffee shop where Isla and I had our first date, past the restaurant where I proposed, past the jewelry store where we picked out wedding bands that will never be worn. 3 years of shared history, now revealed as elaborate theater performed for an audience of one. Every smile, every kiss, every whispered promise of forever, all of it scripted and rehearsed, designed to keep me compliant while they dismantled my life. But they made one crucial mistake. They assumed I was weak because I was trusting. They confused kindness with stupidity, generosity with naivety. I pull into my driveway and notice the boxes are gone. Isla came for her things while I was out. Good. It saves me the trouble of having them hauled away. Inside the house, I pour another whiskey and sit down at the laptop. Time to do what I do best: solve problems systematically and thoroughly. The Montreal apartment lease is in Isla's maiden name, but the security deposit came from a joint account we opened last year. Financial fraud across international borders. The FBI will be interested in that detail. Damon's client poaching violates non-compete clauses in several contracts. The State Attorney General's office handles corporate malfeasance cases. Isla's use of therapy session notes for manipulation purposes violates patient confidentiality laws. The State Medical Board will want to investigate her therapist's role in the scheme. Each thread of their conspiracy leads to legal consequences they didn't anticipate. They planned for my emotional reaction, the hurt, the anger, the devastation of betrayal. They didn't plan for my professional response. I'm not just a man whose fiancée left him. I'm a consultant who specializes in fixing complex problems, and right now they are the most complex problem I've ever encountered. My phone rings. Isla Corvan again. Finn, we need to talk. I'm listening. This has gone far enough. Isla made some mistakes, but destroying her career isn't the answer. Her career? Helena, your daughter stole enough money to buy a house. She's been planning to manipulate my father's estate through fraudulent marriage. She turned my childhood trauma into a psychological weapon. She's young. She made poor choices. She's 32 years old and she's been planning this for 18 months. These weren't poor choices. This was a criminal enterprise. What do you want? Money? We can pay back what she took. I want justice. I want consequences. I want everyone who thought I was too much of a downgrade to be seen with your daughter to understand exactly who they were protecting. I hang up and return to the laptop. There's more work to do, more evidence to compile, more consequences to arrange. They wanted to upgrade from me. Instead, they're about to get a comprehensive education in what happens when someone underestimates the quiet guy who solves problems for a living. The whiskey tastes better with each sip. The law firm calls at 8:15 a.m. Not Isla, her boss. Mr. Harlow, this is Patricia Brennan from Brennan, Chase & Associates. I believe you left a message for one of our associates yesterday. I did. About the Montreal apartment and cryptocurrency situation. I see. Would it be possible for you to come in this morning? We'd like to discuss this matter privately. Interesting. Isla's boss wants to talk before Isla does. That suggests the firm is more concerned about liability than loyalty. I can be there in an hour. Patricia Brennan's office occupies a corner of the building's top floor, with windows facing both the river and downtown district. She's a woman in her 50s, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, with the bearing of someone who's spent decades navigating legal minefields. Mr. Harlow, thank you for coming in. I understand you have concerns about Ms. Corvan's conduct. I have evidence of Ms. Corvan's criminal conduct. There's a difference. She gestures to a chair across from her desk. Please, sit. Walk me through your concerns. I place a folder on her desk, the same one I showed the bank manager. Isla downloaded my business database and provided it to her brother's competing firm. She stole $340,000 from my brokerage account. She's been using confidential information from therapy sessions to psychologically manipulate me. She secured a secret apartment in Montreal using funds from our joint account. Patricia reviews the documents methodically, her expression growing more grave with each page. This is comprehensive. It's also prosecutable under multiple state and federal statutes: corporate espionage, wire fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit fraud. She closes the folder and looks directly at me. What are your intentions, Mr. Harlow? Justice, consequences, public accountability. Ms. Corvan is a valued associate at this firm. However, we cannot and will not tolerate criminal conduct by our employees. If these allegations are substantiated, they're not allegations. They're documented facts. She nods slowly. I appreciate you bringing this to our attention before involving law enforcement. It demonstrates good faith. I brought it to your attention because Isla's criminal activities reflect on your firm's reputation. I thought you deserved to know what kind of person you've been employing. Indeed. We'll be conducting our own investigation immediately. Walking out of the law firm, I feel a grim satisfaction. Isla's career is about to become very complicated. Law firms don't tolerate associates who bring criminal liability to their practice. My next stop is the district attorney's office. The white-collar crime division operates out of a government building downtown, all fluorescent lighting and industrial carpeting. The prosecutor assigned to my case is a young man named David Kim, earnest and thorough. Mr. Harlow, I've reviewed the evidence you submitted. This appears to be a sophisticated conspiracy involving multiple parties and jurisdictions. How sophisticated? Sophisticated enough to warrant federal attention. The interstate nature of the financial crimes, the cryptocurrency laundering, the coordinated business fraud, this goes beyond simple theft. He spreads the documents across his desk, organizing them into categories. We'll need to coordinate with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, the State Attorney General's office, and potentially international authorities if the Montreal connection involves cross-border money laundering. How long does that take? Months, potentially years. But the evidence is strong. Your documentation is thorough, and the digital trail is clear. I leave the prosecutor's office feeling cautiously optimistic. The legal system moves slowly, but it moves inexorably toward justice when the evidence is clear. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Meet me at Riverside Park, South Entrance. Come alone. Isla wants to negotiate. That's interesting. It also means she's scared. Riverside Park sits along the waterfront, a stretch of green space between downtown and the river. The south entrance leads to a walking path lined with benches and old-growth trees. I find Isla sitting on a bench overlooking the water, still wearing her work clothes, but looking less polished than usual. You came, she says without looking at me. You asked me to. She turns, and I see something I've never seen before, genuine fear in her eyes. This has gone far enough, Finn. You've made your point. Have I? What point is that? That you're angry, that I hurt you. I get it. I sit down on the opposite end of the bench, maintaining distance. You think this is about hurt feelings? Isn't it? Isla, you stole $340,000. You sold my business to your brother. You planned to manipulate my father's estate through fraudulent marriage. You weaponized my childhood trauma against me. She looks away, staring at the water. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How was it supposed to happen? We were going to pay back the money after the wedding. The client transfers were just temporary. Damon's firm was struggling, and we thought... You thought I was stupid enough not to notice. We thought you trusted us enough not to look. The honesty is almost refreshing. Almost. The Montreal apartment, Isla. You had an escape plan ready before you even agreed to marry me. That was... insurance. Against what? Against you finding out. We sit in silence for several minutes, watching boats move slowly along the river. The afternoon sun reflects off the water, creating patterns of light that shift and dance with the current. "I can make this right," she says finally. "How?" "I'll transfer the cryptocurrency back. Damon will return the clients. We'll call off the wedding quietly. No drama, no legal action." "And the therapy notes? The psychological manipulation? The inheritance scheme?" "Mistakes, all of it. We made terrible mistakes." I stand up, looking down at her. "No, Isla. You made calculated choices over 18 months. You planned every detail, anticipated every contingency, except one." "What's that?" "You assumed I was too weak to fight back." Walking away from the bench, I hear her call after me. "Finn, please, don't do this. You're destroying lives." I stop and turn back. I'm not destroying anything. I'm revealing what was already there. That evening, I visit my father. He lives in an assisted care facility across town, a place with medical staff and comfortable rooms, but none of the warmth of a real home. Cancer has aged him beyond his 68 years, but his mind remains sharp. "You look troubled, son." I tell him everything: the engagement cancellation, the financial theft, the inheritance scheme. He listens without interruption, his expression growing darker with each revelation. "I'm sorry, Dad. I brought these people into our lives." "You brought a woman you loved into our lives. The fact that she wasn't who you thought she was isn't your fault." "They were planning to contest your will through spousal inheritance claims." He smiles grimly. "Let them try. I've been writing wills longer than that girl's been alive. There are protections in place for exactly this kind of situation." "What kind of protections?" "The kind that make sure my money goes to my son, not to some stranger who married him for financial gain." We talk for another hour about the legal proceedings, the evidence, the likely outcomes. My father may be weakened by illness, but his understanding of human nature remains acute. "You're handling this correctly," he says as I prepare to leave. "Methodically, legally, professionally. Your mother would be proud." Driving home, I think about my mother. She passed away when I was 16, but I remember her advice about dealing with bullies. "Don't get mad, get smart. Smart lasts longer than mad." Smart is exactly what I've been. Smart is what's going to finish this. My phone shows 17 missed calls from Isla Corvan and 12 text messages from Damon. I don't read them or return the calls. There's nothing left to negotiate. At home, I pour a whiskey and sit down at the laptop. The legal machinery is in motion now, grinding slowly but inevitably toward justice. But there are other forms of accountability beyond criminal prosecution. Social media, for instance, professional networks, community reputation. I create a simple post on my business social media account. After discovering systematic financial theft, corporate espionage, and conspiracy to commit fraud by my former fiancée and her brother, I am taking legal action to protect my business and clients. Documentation has been provided to appropriate authorities. I want to thank the clients who have remained loyal during this difficult time. Professional, factual, devastating. Within an hour, the post has been shared 43 times. Comments pour in from colleagues, clients, and business contacts expressing support and outrage. The professional community is small, and news travels fast. My phone rings. Marcus. "Finn, your social media post is everywhere. Peterson Industries just called. They want to terminate their contract with Damon's firm and return to us." "Based on what?" "They said they can't do business with a company involved in corporate espionage. Apparently, word is spreading through the entire industry." "Good. What about our other former clients?" 3 more have called in the past hour. They want to discuss returning to our firm. Justice through legal channels takes time. Justice through professional reputation happens overnight. I raise my glass to the empty house again. Here's to consequences. The morning brings news that changes everything. Patricia Brennan calls at 7:30 a.m., her voice tight with professional concern. "Mr. Harlow, We've completed our internal investigation. Ms. Corvan's employment has been terminated effective immediately. We're also reporting our findings to the State Bar Association. What did you find? Misuse of firm resources, violation of client confidentiality protocols, and conduct incompatible with legal practice. She used our computers to access your business information and our secure email system to coordinate the theft. The State Bar Association. That means Isla's law license is in jeopardy. Without it, she can't practice law anywhere. Thank you for handling this professionally. Mr. Harlow, firms like ours survive on reputation and trust. We cannot tolerate associates who compromise either. An hour later, David Kim from the prosecutor's office calls with an update. The FBI is formally opening an investigation. The Financial Crimes Unit wants to interview you next week. They're particularly interested in the international aspects, the Montreal apartment, the cryptocurrency laundering, the cross-border coordination. What does that mean for the timeline? It means this is bigger than we initially thought. They're looking at RICO violations, organized crime statutes. If they can prove this was an ongoing criminal enterprise, the penalties increase dramatically. RICO violations, organized crime. Isla and Damon have graduated from simple theft to federal conspiracy charges. My phone buzzes with a text from Isla Corvan. Please call me. This is urgent. I don't call her back. Instead, I drive to my father's facility for our regular morning visit. He's sitting in his favorite chair by the window, reading the business section of the newspaper. You made the paper, he says, holding up the local business journal. The headline reads, Local consulting firm reports corporate espionage. Below it, a photo of me from last year's Chamber of Commerce dinner. The article is factual, professional, and damning. Harlow Marcus Consulting has reported systematic theft of proprietary business information by competitors working in coordination with a former romantic partner of company co-founder Finn Harlow. He reads aloud. The case has been referred to federal authorities for investigation of potential organized crime violations. Organized crime violations, I repeat. That's serious business, son. Federal prison time if they're convicted. The weight of that settles over me. Isla and Damon aren't just facing financial consequences anymore. They're facing years in federal prison. Do you feel bad about it? My father asks. I consider the question seriously. No. They made their choices over 18 months. Every decision was calculated. Every action was deliberate. They earned these consequences. Good. Mercy is a virtue, but justice is a necessity. Driving back into town, I pass Damon's office building. There are news vans in the parking lot, reporters with cameras interviewing people as they enter and exit. Word has spread beyond the business community. My phone rings. Marcus. Finn, you need to see the news. Channel 7 is running a story about the investigation. I pull over and stream the news report on my phone. The anchor, a serious-looking woman in her 40s, delivers the story with professional gravity. Federal authorities are investigating what they describe as a sophisticated conspiracy involving corporate espionage, financial fraud, and organized crime. The investigation centers on Vossel Consulting and its connections to the law firm Brennan, Chase, and Associates. The report includes footage of FBI agents carrying boxes out of Damon's office building, boxes full of evidence, client files, computer equipment, everything they need to build a comprehensive case. The alleged conspiracy involved systematic theft of business information, unauthorized financial transfers exceeding $300,000, and coordination between multiple parties to defraud competitors and manipulate inheritance proceedings. Inheritance proceedings. They found evidence of the estate manipulation scheme. The report concludes with a statement from the FBI. This investigation demonstrates our commitment to prosecuting white-collar crime regardless of the social or professional status of the perpetrators. I drive home feeling a mixture of satisfaction and exhaustion. Justice is happening, but it's happening faster and more comprehensively than I anticipated. At home, I find Isla sitting on my front steps. She looks terrible. Her hair is disheveled, her clothes wrinkled, her eyes red from crying. The polished professional facade has completely crumbled. "They fired me," she says as I approach. "I know. The FBI took my computers, my files, my phone. They froze my bank accounts." "Including the cryptocurrency accounts?" She nods miserably. "Everything. I can't access any of it." "Good. Finn, please, I'm begging you. Call them off. Tell them it was a misunderstanding." I sit down on the steps beside her, maintaining distance. "It wasn't a misunderstanding, Isla. It was an 18-month criminal conspiracy that you documented in detail. We can fix this. I'll pay back every penny. Damon will return all the clients. We'll make it right." "You can't make it right. You can't undo 18 months of systematic betrayal. You can't restore the trust you destroyed or erase the trauma you caused." She turns to face me, tears streaming down her face. "I loved you." "No, you didn't. You used me. There's a difference." "That's not true. It started as something else. But I did love you. I do love you." I stand up, looking down at her. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have stolen from me. If you loved me, you wouldn't have sold my business to your brother. If you loved me, you wouldn't have weaponized my childhood trauma against me. People make mistakes. Mistakes are forgetting anniversaries or leaving dishes in the sink. What you did was plan and execute a criminal conspiracy designed to destroy my life while pretending to love me." I walk toward my front door. "Where are you going?" "Inside my house, the one you don't live in anymore." "Finn, wait. What happens now?" I turn back one final time. "Now you face the consequences of your choices, just like everyone else." Inside, I pour a whiskey and sit down at the laptop. The news coverage has generated dozens of messages from friends, colleagues, and clients expressing support. The professional community has rallied around me, while Isla and Damon have become pariahs overnight. My phone shows 47 missed calls from Isla Corvan. I delete them all without listening. The evening news expands the story, adding details about the Montreal apartment, the inheritance scheme, and the psychological manipulation aspects. They interview a forensic accountant who explains how sophisticated the financial fraud was, and a cybersecurity expert who describes the corporate espionage techniques. "This wasn't a crime of passion," the cybersecurity expert explains. "This was a carefully planned, systematically executed conspiracy involving multiple forms of fraud, theft, and manipulation. The perpetrators demonstrated sophisticated knowledge of financial systems, legal procedures, and psychological manipulation techniques." The forensic accountant adds, "The cryptocurrency laundering alone shows advanced understanding of digital financial systems. This was organized crime using modern tools and methods." Organized crime. The phrase keeps appearing in every report, every analysis, every expert interview. Isla and Damon aren't just thieves anymore. They're federal criminals facing decades in prison. My father calls during the evening news. "I saw the coverage. How are you holding up?" "Better than expected. It's strange watching your life become a news story." "You did the right thing, son. These people would have destroyed you if you hadn't fought back." "I know. It just feels final." It is final. That's the point. After hanging up, I walk through the house that Isla used to share. Her presence has been completely erased. No clothes in the closets, no toiletries in the bathroom, no personal items anywhere. It's as if she never lived here at all, which in a way, she never did. The woman I thought I knew never existed. She was a character Isla played, a role she performed to gain access to my life and resources. The real Isla is the one sitting on my steps this afternoon, crying and begging and trying to negotiate her way out of consequences she earned through 18 months of calculated cruelty. I pour another whiskey and raise it to the empty house. Here's to reality. 6 months later, the verdicts come down like falling dominoes. Isla, 18 months in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised probation. Her law license has been permanently revoked. The State Bar Association's report describes her conduct as fundamentally incompatible with legal practice and professional ethics. Damon, 36 months in federal prison, followed by 5 years supervised probation. His consulting firm has been dissolved, its assets seized to pay restitution to defrauded clients. The business license has been permanently revoked. Isla Corvan, no criminal charges, but civil liability for the joint account funds used to secure the Montreal apartment. Her social standing in the community has evaporated along with her daughter's reputation. The therapist who provided Isla with confidential session notes, license suspended, practice closed, professional ethics violation that will follow her career permanently. I testify at each trial, presenting evidence methodically and without emotion. The prosecutors praise my documentation and cooperation. The defense attorneys try to paint me as vindictive, but the evidence speaks louder than their arguments. The cryptocurrency funds, all $340,000, are recovered and returned to my accounts. The clients stolen by Damon's firm returned to Harlow Marcus Consulting, along with new clients attracted by our reputation for integrity and thoroughness. My father passes away peacefully in his sleep on a Tuesday morning in spring. His will distributes his assets exactly as intended, with no interference from fraudulent spouses or inheritance schemes. I inherit his construction business, his house, and his advice about dealing with people who mistake kindness for weakness. The Montreal apartment sits empty, the lease terminated, the security deposit forfeited. Isla never got to use her escape plan. Today, I'm cleaning out my father's house when I find a letter he wrote but never sent. It's addressed to me, dated 3 days after I told him about the conspiracy. Son, it begins, by the time you read this, the legal proceedings will be finished and justice will have been served. I want you to know how proud I am of the way you handled this situation. You could have responded with anger, violence, or revenge. Instead, you responded with intelligence, patience, and systematic pursuit of justice. Your mother and I raised you to be better than the people who would hurt you. You proved that by refusing to become like them, even when they gave you every reason to do so. The woman you thought you loved never existed. The people you thought were family were predators, but you survived their betrayal and emerged stronger, wiser, and more capable than before. That's not a downgrade, son. That's an upgrade. I fold the letter and put it in my wallet, next to the business cards of the FBI agents who worked the case and the prosecutor who secured the convictions. Outside, spring is arriving in upstate New York. The trees are budding, the air is warming, and the town is slowly forgetting the scandal that consumed the local news for months. I drive past the law firm where Isla used to work. It's been renamed and restructured, the partners eager to distance themselves from the criminal associate who brought federal investigators to their door. I drive past the office building where Damon's firm used to operate. The space has been leased to an accounting practice, the corporate espionage scandal gradually fading into local business history. I drive past the park where Isla tried to negotiate her way out of consequences. The bench where she sat is occupied by an elderly couple feeding ducks, their simple contentment a stark contrast to the desperation I witnessed there months ago. Finally, I drive home to the house that belongs entirely to me now. No shared spaces, no hidden agendas, no secret plans or parallel lives. Just a quiet place where I can work, think, and build something real. The phone rings as I'm making dinner. Marcus. Finn, we just landed the Morrison Industries contract. Biggest client we've ever had. Based on what? Reputation. They said they wanted to work with a firm known for integrity and thoroughness. Apparently word has spread about how we handled the corporate espionage situation. Integrity and thoroughness. The qualities that made me an easy target for Isla and Damon are the same qualities that attracted new clients and rebuilt my business. There's something else, Marcus continues. Morrison's CEO asked specifically about you. She said she was impressed by how you handled the investigation and prosecution. She wants to discuss a consulting position. A consulting position with Morrison Industries would be a significant career advancement, the kind of opportunity that opens doors and creates possibilities. Set up the meeting, I tell Marcus. After dinner, I sit on my front porch with a whiskey, watching the sun set over the neighborhood. The same view I had when Isla lived here, but everything has changed. The boxes that once held her belongings are gone. The engagement ring has been sold, the proceeds donated to a charity that helps abuse survivors. The wedding venue has been rented to other couples planning their futures together. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Finn, this is Isla. I'm being released next week. Can we talk? I read the message twice, then delete it without responding. There's nothing left to talk about. She made her choices, faced her consequences, and served her time. But that doesn't create an obligation for me to revisit the past or provide her with absolution. Some upgrades are permanent. I finish my whiskey and go inside, leaving the empty glass on the kitchen counter. Tomorrow I'll wash it and put it away, the same way I've put away everything else from that chapter of my life. The house is quiet, peaceful, and entirely my own, just the way I like it.